Thank you guys for joining us today. I am privileged to be on this stage with three phenomenal sisters here for this panel, The Balanced Entrepreneur, prioritizing self-care, fostering a healthy work culture. I, at times, am burned out myself. For those of you who don't know, I am Jabari Young, and I'm a senior writer at Forbes and editor at Forbes, and run the Forbes BOK platform. And I can tell you, it's fatiguing. It has a lot of burnout. So I'm looking forward to learning from these three amazing sisters, starting right here with Dr. V, right? She is the Chief Diversity Officer as well as the Culture Officer at Santander Bank. I said it right.
You got it right.
Santander
All right
Bank.
now.
It's a Mexican, it's like a Spanish bank. So I'm like, how do you pronounce it? It's Santander Bank.
Unless you're from Texas, then it's Santander.
Yeah.
We just say Santander. It's okay.
Santander Bank.
It's okay.
Next up is Dr. Lakeisha Holman. She is the CEO of Village Retail. Tulsa, y'all know her. She's right here from Atlanta. Dr. Holman, she is the CEO of Village Retail. It's a phenomenal spot. I did a story on them for our Forbes BOK Summit, Journey to Forbes BOK, and check that video out. But I'm a fan of this sister. She's wonderful. And then on the end here, I said I wanted to call her Mrs. Bryant. She said, no. Call me Sadra, right? And for those of you who don't know, this is Mr. John Hope Bryant's wife, Sadra Dalton Bryant. So I'm definitely going to be very, very, very generous with her questions. I don't want to get kicked out. But again, burnout and fatigue, right? How many of you, raise a hand, have some point in the year in 2024 felt burned out, fatigue, right? Yeah. Yes. I see a sister over there. See two hands in the air, right? Me too. It's real, right? Burnout and fatigue is really real. And when you talk about entrepreneurship, it doesn't get mentioned enough, right? Everybody in this room wants to be rich, right? We don't talk about what it takes to get there. And a part of that is making sure that you're balanced. So really want to dive into this discussion and, really want to kind of go right into it. And I want to start this panel off by, asking, I'll start with you, Dr. V, what does a balanced entrepreneur, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult when you even use the word balance. I think that can be a foreign word for most people. But for me, it's all about alignment. Instead of balance, I like to use the word harmony because, again, we are multifaceted people. And so there's many aspects to our lives that we have to keep in balance or alignment or in harmony. And so a balanced entrepreneur really has to think about all aspects of your whole self. You are a leader, but you are also an individual. So to be balanced, it starts with you. You cannot be good to anyone else if you're not good to yourself. So when you think about balance, think about spiritual, I always put that first, emotional, mental, physical, and financial, all aspects in balance. But sometimes those things are going to feel very much out of balance, and that's okay. You're not going to always have everything perfectly aligned. So give yourself some grace and know that at sometimes that spiritual is going to have to be the thing that comes to the top to carry you in all the other spaces. So a balanced entrepreneur is one that is paying attention to every aspect of their whole life.
Yeah. Dr. Key, you've seen enough of them in your time. Solopreneurs turning into entrepreneurs. You yourself have at one point gone through that process. For you, what does a balanced entrepreneur look like?
First, everyone, it's so wonderful to be in the presence of you, and I'm really elated to be here. What it looks like to be a balanced entrepreneur, I think it takes a great deal of vulnerability and honesty with yourself when you're out of balance. I think before we can arrive at a place, we have to understand where we're not. And so I can only share where I've been before when I was out of balance, and I can tell you what balance feels like. And also through my nonprofit, Our Village United, we polled about 2,500 businesses, and about 88% of those entrepreneurs shared that they were burnt out and had decision fatigue. So for me, when I was out of balance, I was waking up early in the morning, answering emails, responding to texts. That means grabbing my phone before I prayed. grabbing my phone before I just gave thanks to be in the presence of a new day. Sound mind and sound body. I was ready to respond, ready to send yet another email. What it also looked like when I was out of balance, I was working throughout the day and I was not taking a moment to take a lunch. And when I did take a lunch, I was grabbing quick food and eating it and typing with the other hand. Out of balance. When I was also out of balance, I missed a lot of important things because I thought it was so important for me to grow and scale the vision that I had in my mind. Also being out of balance, I was deeply fatigued all the time. That means I lost the joy in the thing that God gifted me with, and that was the vision of the Village Market. I did it out of obligation rather than the joy that I felt when the vision was birthed. And when I realized that I was having this sense of out of balance, I knew that I was deeply out of alignment. Not out of alignment of my vision, but out of alignment of who I was supposed to be to bestow this vision. We must be well in the work that we do. And so I decided to take a quick sabbatical. I went on vacation and I luxuriated, and I had a great time. But in that time, I did a great deal of soul searching. And I started to ask myself questions about who am I? When I look in the mirror, am I comfortable with the woman that I see? And a lot of the answers I was saying no. And the only commitment I made to myself was being able to say yes to the woman that I saw in the mirror. And so I began to say that I am going to create balance in my life. I'm going to start making sure when I open my eyes in the morning that I give reverence and thanks to be here, because we can't lose that. I made sure that I started to take breaks throughout the day, that I called my sister to just laugh and my homegirls in a group chat to just look at funny memes and TikToks, because that filled me up. And I also put a hard end to my day and a hard end to my weekends. And so I finally found myself finding my joy again, finding my breath again, finding that I could close my eyes and my mind was not racing. And for me, that is what balance has felt like.
Now y'all see why I love her so much? She just gives these great answers, and I'm like, damn, that was great. Where were you all my life? Sadra, what does a balanced entrepreneur look like to you?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see everybody here today. So my story and journey is a little bit different. My out of balance ended up with me developing high blood pressure. And it was because I was not getting enough sleep, I was not eating properly, and I was doing what I thought was what an entrepreneur was supposed to do. Work, 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 work. And the more I worked, the more my company would grow. And that was not the case. What happened was, the more I worked, and we would even coin it called like team no sleep. Yeah. Because anybody know what that's like? Right? Like, oh, I only slept 2 hours last night, and be proud of it. Right? Or, oh, you know, I'll just grab a soda and I'll be okay. Or I'll grab some potato chips and not have a meal today. And I ended up having to take high blood pressure medicine. And I studied nutrition, human development. You know, we all have our education. How many people around here got it? How many people follow what we might know? How many people listen to our intuition and still don't listen? And so I started to apply the things in my life that I had been taught. I started to research more about why I got sick. Why am I on one medication? Now I'm on 2 medications. Now I'm on 3 medications. And eventually, I started applying the principles. Sleeping, eating proper, playing with my friends, loving on my family. And I was able, in 2 years, to get off of the medication, and I've been able to maintain it. So, I birthed a company. It's called 360 Wellness. God had given it to me. I guess I went through what I went through so I could teach others. And that is my mission, to help others, entrepreneurs, not go through what I had to go through.
I want to stay with you right fast because you kind of, first of all, you stole all my questions. I know I sent you the roadmap. But you mentioned the health and the diet part, right? And a lot of times we don't think about the things that we eat and how that can contribute to us being imbalanced. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What are the things that, especially moving into 2025 now as we end up this year, we should really kind of double think? I know the potato chips. I'll get to the John.
I'm not the health police, by the way.
I know, and
Okay.
John. I know that the John, in 2018, the Krispy Kremes, and he was eating. I'll share that in a minute. But how important is diet, is health when you're talking about being a balanced entrepreneur?
Well, what we eat, the only choice that we really have to fuel our bodies, besides our minds, meditation, and non-physical, is that we have the choice of the food that we decide to put in our body. And if you're feeding yourself unsustainable, like food that does not give you energy, then you can't sustain or operate at your maximum human performance. So it's just making healthy choices like protein bars. Hydration is everything. It seems like it's simple, but how many people have had 80 ounces of water today? Anyone in here? Yay! But it's being really mindful about the food choices that you make. And if you don't know, if you're not conscious of what you're doing, write it down. And then at the end of the day, you can see, did I fuel my body properly today? Did I eat? Now, no one says that you're gonna be able to make, dinner every night. But if I'm out, am I making the most health-conscious decision for my body that's going to give me the energy to be able to provide myself for the day? So apples, water, protein bars was one thing that I made the shift to.
That Chick-fil-A that I had on the way here it helped me there. Dr. V, take me back
once
to
in a while.
Chick-fil-A is good, I'm sorry.
You grew up right here in Augusta, Georgia.
I
right?
sure did.
And,
I-20.
Yeah, when Dr. V, when she was around 6 years old, she knew she was getting into business, right? She used to stuff her mom's dresser with papers, right? Pretending it was a file cabinet, speaking into her existence. I love that part. And then you go and you have this phenomenal career in corporate America. You leave at one point, right? Become an executive coach and a counselor, and then you re-enter corporate America. Phenomenal career. At any point, were you burned out and fatigued, and if so, when? And how did you get over it?
Goodness, twice that I'll speak about, probably more, going to the point of being aware, because oftentimes we're not even aware when we're burnt out. In my 20s, we won't talk about how old I am now, but in my 20s.
She's 25.
Thank you. I was in an organization that had that no sleep culture. And so here I am young in my career, and I'm feeling like, okay, this is what people do. And so when I'm getting an email at 2 o'clock in the morning, I think I should respond at 2 o'clock in the morning. And so here I am, a young mom, I'm trying to raise my family, I'm trying to do well, I want to climb that ladder. And my body is saying, girl, we tired. We are tired. And so I was exhausted to the point at which I had to literally physically stop. And it was at that point that I created what my family affectionately calls V-days. I take my V-days. Being an introvert, I need time away from all people in order to recharge my batteries. And so thankfully, I have so many amazing, wonderful people around me who respect that, but I am really focused on my V-days today. The second was, I started breaking out in hives. And I'm like, what is going on? Why am I getting these hives? I go to my doctor. I have a seafood allergy. And I said, Lord, you've already taken my shrimp. Please don't take anything else from me. And my doctor said, it's stress.
Yeah.
It's that job that is taking over too much of your time, your mental capacity, and your lack of joy. So the one thing that I did with the hives that I think was the most important was I told people about it. And I created accountability partners in my life to help me manage myself. So we can't go it alone. So yes, indeed, I have felt burnout. And my message would be, when you feel that, pay attention to your body. Pay attention to what it's telling you, and then speak about it and get help.
Yeah. Dr. Holman, I switched to you because, again, we've had conversations about solopreneurs, switching to entrepreneurs. For those of you who may not know, solopreneurs, one man, one woman shops. They do it all. They're their own boss. They have to be the employee. They have to be the accountant. They got to do everything. And I'm sure that brings on a tremendous amount of fatigue, burnout, stress. What are the challenges when you're trying to go from solopreneur to entrepreneur and remain balanced?
I think trying to grow from a single operator or a solo entrepreneur is just really hard. When it's just you, you have octopus arms. As you responded to the email, acting like you the assistant, and you your assistant. As you responded to all the comments on your business page and acting like it's not you responding to all the comments on your business page, but it's you. That's you reviewing the reviews and acting like it's not hurting your feelings. If someone leaves a review that's not so positive, but you respond anyway because then that's you. And all the parts of business, the funding, the growth, the struggles of it, it falls on your desk. That's what it feels like to be a single operator. I've been there. That's how I started in 2016. And to grow from that place of building a company and you start to employ, I don't know if we spend enough time thinking about what it takes to learn the power of delegation. It sounds easy until you have to relinquish trust. And trust says, I'm going to give someone a portion of my baby. And I'm going to let you be my assistant. And I'm going to let you post on my social media. Everything goes from my, and you have to turn it to the word of our company. But it's not easy. It's a place that is deeply aspirational. So if you're there as an entrepreneur, you have to do this deep work around trusting people to come in, trusting your lens of not choosing people to come support you out of a place of desperation, because then we pick anybody. When you're in a place of desperation, a place of survival. So I want us to make sure we're shifting our mindset that when we welcome people into our company, they're only coming to complement the gifts that we possess. Their gifts may just look a little different than ours. But we have to extend the invitation for people to come on this journey. And also, when it comes to being able to scale and grow, it is very tough in those early years. Years 1 to 3 is tough. Many entrepreneurs of color do not survive the first year. So if you're in your first year and your sales have not been what you want and your customer conversion hasn't been what you wanted it to be, I want you to know that that is normal. That it's not meant to be easy, no matter what Instagram tells us and what your favorite unicorn entrepreneur is doing in life. That is a unicorn entrepreneur. They also have hard days too. They just know how to control their content. But I want you all to know that the point of scale is something that we all want to do. But I want you to make sure that you're scaling in a way that you so desire. Everyone does not want to have a global company. Some people want to just do their one thing and do it well, and I want you to know that's okay. And so, Jabari, to your question of balancing yourself is deeply getting to know who you are. My anchor in my life is being in alignment. So even when I'm scaling my companies, we've been able to grow my nonprofit to 25 states. We run holistic incubators for entrepreneurs in 25 different states now. But anytime that I go against my gut, I know that I've chosen what looks like purpose over something that's more self-induced scale. And I want you all to hear me when I say that. So many times we pursue things that is deeply out of alignment, and it begins to fall apart because it was not meant for us, no matter how glowing it was. So for me, as I scale, as I work with entrepreneurs about scaling, the first class that we take is a mindset class, and a class that have you examine what does it feel like when your life is in alignment, and what does it feel like when your life is out of alignment. So when you start to grow and you're out of alignment, That's you picking up your phone first and not giving thanks to God, but giving thanks to the person that sent you an email. Out of alignment. If you're not taking a moment to rest, and you're not able to sleep and turn your brain off, if you're leaving meetings feeling uneasy, and you're feeling like your character and who you are is shifting, you're out of alignment. We do not want scale at that level. You want to be able to scale incrementally and gracefully so you can still be in a higher alignment and higher purpose. So I gave y'all a lot, but I really want us to be very conscious of the things that we want. I want us to be very conscious of our desires. I want us to be very conscious of even the millions that we attract into our companies. We want to ensure that when these things come to us, that we are transforming space, that it's not transforming us.
Yeah. Stacia, I remember I was listening to a podcast that you were on in 2001, and you said, I quote, "If people are not financially sound and feeling good, then the stress levels go up, the chronic disease starts to set in, and you can't function." Everybody in this room may not be entrepreneurs. They may want to climb the corporate ladder, but I think the common denominator is we all got bills here, and we've all felt some type of financial stress. How do you navigate that? Because financial stress is a big reason why that burnout and fatigue. We're all trying to make money to pay bills. We can go on trips, pay student loans in my case, right? How do you deal with the navigation of balancing that financial stress and bringing that in the everyday world and trying to stay balanced at the same time? How did you do it?
I love that question. Financial literacy, budgeting, prioritizing. If you can get those three things aligned, then you can get your money in order and get financially stable, because it's very hard to function when you cannot pay your bills. And so if you put yourself into a financial literacy course, number one, but if you don't, and you get into a budget is the most important thing that you can have in your life, and stick to it. If you do not, don't say, oh, I went $10 over my budget this month. That matters. You have to learn discipline with your money and your choices. And if you can get those two things in alignment, then you can get financially stable.
Dr. V, when you are fatigued and burnout, that has a tendency, obviously, to impact your house, but it can carry over into work culture. What have you seen from maybe colleagues or former employees that you may have told that to, that maybe they didn't recognize it, that, hey, you're burned out. I could tell. I know what that looks like. How do you deal with that once it gets into the work culture, and what does it look like?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I was reading a statistic just about stress in the workplace, and I was shocked that stress is truly a workplace hazard. It costs companies $300 billion per year on stress. And that impacts productivity, innovation, but most importantly, the way we treat each other. At Santander, we're really focused in on human connection. My job is to create a culture and a place where people want to work, but most importantly, that they can connect and engage with one another. So if I'm coming in and I'm irritable, I haven't had